May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and upon all those who choose to tread in his path until the last day. It is said that on one occasion the Prophet ﷺ is sitting and the angel Jibreel approaches him. And he comes to him with good news, he comes to him with glad tidings, and he says, Ya Muhammad, be ready, Khadija is coming to you and she has with her some food. And he says that when she brings this food to you, give her the news that Allah Azza wa Jal sends his salams to her. And that I, Jibreel, send my salams to her. And give her the glad tidings of a house in paradise, a place where there will be no grief or no tiredness. And the angel Jibreel, he conveys this message to the Prophet ﷺ, and the best of creation ﷺ in turn takes this message to one of the best women who are created, Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. A woman who most definitely holds the most auspicious and dignified platform and station in our tradition. A woman who is given a great rank, a woman who is given a great reputation within our tradition. And when we are to understand why it is important for us to know who she is and what she is about, so many of us can give different reasons as to why. She would give us insight not only as to what it is meant to be somebody's spouse, but what kind of spouse someone should be to aspire to have a spouse such as she in your life. She gives us a guidance and an insight to be an individual who is a supporter, a confidant, a friend. An individual who believed in the Prophet ﷺ when nobody else believed in him. Supported him, gave of her wealth to him and his cause. A woman who can give us so many insights, so many lessons, so many understandings for ourselves. But what is most important for us to understand of this woman is that she has a profound impact on the best of creation, alayhi salam. That he arguably is who he is, and she has a definitive impact from the presence as well as the absence of being in his life. She plays a profound role in him being able to take on what he takes on. And he says this to us over and over and over again. At times we are far removed from the life of the Prophet ﷺ. We find ourselves in a place where it is hard for us to connect to his teachings because we are not connected to him. And what can enable us to have a better connection to him is to look at his life through the ones who are connected to him in the time in which he was actually living. And what better person to understand as an access point to this man's blessed life? Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, a woman who the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam never forgot. That his companions say a day would not pass after her passing that Muhammad did not remember her. Who is this woman that has such a deep impact on the best of creation? And what do we know of her? That the Prophet ﷺ, he stands at the battle of Badr with his companions. And after the battle is won by the Muslimin, there are individuals who are taken as captives, prisoners of war from the opposition. And from amongst them there is an individual who is the son-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ. And so a manner in which individuals were ransomed at that time was if they were able to teach the Muslim children and the Muslims how to read, give them an access point to knowledge, then they were set free. Otherwise a price was put for their ransom for them to be set free. And so this man, the son-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ, his wife sends forth the ransom. And the ransom that she sends forth is in the form of a necklace. And this is a necklace that her mother Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha gave to her on her own wedding night. And when the necklace comes in the hand of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, the tears begin to fall from his eyes because he remembers his beloved Khadija. He remembers the role that she plays in his life. He remembers the support that she was. He remembers who in fact she was. And that thing that was hers brings back those memories. And so he says to his companions that, would you be okay if I return this back to the one who sent it, so that she would not be deprived from the memory of the one who gave it to her? And we still set free the man for whom this ransom was being given. The companions, they say yes. The Prophet ﷺ had this beautiful relationship with his Khadija. He had a most remarkable and amazing relationship with this woman. That years after she passes, he is still giving of himself, of his gifts, of his wealth to her family and her friends. But he never forgets her. He never forgets who she is. Why have we forgotten her? Why are we not from amongst those who are studying her life and teaching her life to those who are coming after us? Why are we not reading about his life through a lens of her perspective to be able to get closer to him? Why are we not giving the importance and the distinction that this man gave to her in the course of our lives? What do you know about Khadija? What do you know about the wife of the Prophet ﷺ? This woman was born of a noble lineage. She was of the Quraysh, and her family was amongst the elite. Not just the nobility, but they were wealthy individuals. Business was something that they took on by profession. Her mother was a woman by the name of Fatima, and her father was a man by the name of Khalid. When he passes away, this young woman, Khadija, she herself becomes a merchant. She herself aspires towards this trade. Wealth still stays with her. And prior to her marriage to the Prophet ﷺ, she is wed twice. She is not a woman who was not married before her marrying of Muhammad. Her birth, they say, takes place 11 to 15 years before the year of the elephant, the year in which the Prophet ﷺ is born. And now when she finds herself in a place where she is older, she has taken on her professional ambitions, she has taken on the trade and the system of being a merchant, as was within her family, she has the opportunity to engage the best of creation. That as she does her work, she entrusts individuals to go out on the caravan routes to carry out the business on her behalf. And so she needs people she can trust. She needs people who she knows will honor the pacts of trust within the work that she is doing. They won't steal from her. And so she hears of this man, Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, a man who is known of his integrity, a man who is known as being trustworthy. And she sends word to ask of him to carry out one of her trades to the place of Sham, of Syria. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam takes on this position, and he goes with another individual by the name of Maysara, who is commissioned by Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha to see what is this man actually like. And Maysara is taken aback by his character, his sense of integrity. He says that when he would engage in transactions with individuals, it was commonplace at that time when the transaction was going to be undertaken that the person would say, "Let us take an oath by our gods when we enter into this transaction." And Maysara says that when they would say this to Muhammad, he would say that these are not deities that I worship. These are not individuals or beings that I worship. They are not from amongst my worship. He says that he would honor every trust. He would not take advantage or violate it in any way. And he says that when we are on our return, we sit under a tree. And while Muhammad is sitting under the tree, I go to walk around. And as I'm walking, I come upon a monk that I know. And this monk asks me that, who is this person? Who is this individual? And when I say who he is, the monk says to me that this individual who is under this tree is nothing less than a prophet of God. Maysara takes back all of this news to Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. He includes within it this narration that says that Muhammad is so unique, it seems as if when he was walking, there was a cloud that was over his head, shielding him from the intensity of the sun. And our mother Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, she becomes intrigued by this man, this individual. She sets forth a proposal to him after taking counsel from those who are around her. And a friend of hers by the name of Nafisa goes forth to the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, Ya Muhammad, why are you not married? And the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, he says that I don't have the means to be married. Nafisa says that, would you marry someone if this was not an issue? Would you marry someone who was wealthy, that the money, it didn't matter? When the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, he says that, who is this individual, who is this person? And she mentions the name of Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. He agrees and accepts to the proposal. Nafisa goes forth and tells Khadija. Both parties then let their families know. And the wedding of Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha to the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam takes place in the home of Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha when the best of creation is 25 years of age and this woman is around the age of 40. In their home there is apparent barakah, there is apparent blessing. There is so much that is going on, and through this woman the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam rears all of his children save one. The Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam is blessed with 2 sons through Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha that don't survive past their infancy. The Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam is blessed with 4 daughters through this woman Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. Amongst them Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha, also noted as one of the best of creation. And how would she be anything less than from amongst the best of the women who were created when her father is the best of creation and her mother is from amongst the best women who are created? The Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam goes through many different instances within the course of himself being wed to this woman Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. And during their marriage he has relationships with no other women. He finds himself in the place where the instance where the Kaaba is being rebuilt and he is commissioned to put the stone back in its place or devise the plan by which an understanding would be how the stone would be put back when he is married to this woman. He finds himself in a place where he goes through many different experiences as he is married to this woman. And most importantly, we find that she is his wife when he is in a place of doubt, trying to understand what has transpired when the first revelation comes upon him. That the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam is in a situation where he would seek solitude to reflect and contemplate and would go from his home to the cave of Hira. And even while he is there, not just for a day or not just for a week, but even months, Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, amongst her habits was that she would go to check up on how he is doing. And the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, he now finds himself in this situation that when he is in that cave and he believes he is by himself, the angel Jibreel comes with that initial revelation, disrupting his solitude. And the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam has no idea what's going on. Iqra, read, ma'ana biqari, I am not able to read, I am not a reciter. The interaction takes place thrice, and now the best of creation is left in a place all by himself, trying to figure out what has gone on. He has to walk down that mountainside all the way back to his home. And when he goes into his home and he speaks to his wife, he is agitated, he is not sure what has transpired. And he says, I believe that I have lost my mind. Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, being there for the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, Allah would not test you in this capacity. No room for doubt, no hesitation whatsoever. She is always there for this man. They go to her relative, a man by the name of Waraka. And when he describes to Waraka what is taking place, the Prophet ﷺ is given the news from this man Waraka that the individual who had visited you, who had descended upon you, this is An-Namus al-Akbar, referring to the angel Jibreel, saying that he came to visit prophets who came before you. And the Prophet ﷺ and Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha are then told by this man Waraka that be ready because your people will cast you out. The Prophet ﷺ, he is from a noble lineage. Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha is from a noble lineage and is wealthy. They are not in a place where the people of this community are those who think anything ill of them. And now they have to tolerate this idea and they wonder, how will this be? Some time passes between that initial revelation and the next, where the Prophet ﷺ waits for some time until that revelation comes to him again. He goes to the mountain where it initially came, seeking, yearning for it. And the Prophet ﷺ, he is met with the angel Jibreel alayhi salam, that you are a messenger of God. You are the messenger of Allah. The revelation starts to come to him from Surah Al-Mudassir, from Surah Al-Muzammil, from Surah Al-Duha. The Prophet ﷺ now steadily is getting revelation from Allah Azza wa Jal. And he goes to Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha and says to her that you are the first that I am calling to this religion. And Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, being from amongst the best of creation of the women of all time. In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says she is the best woman of her time. A woman who Allah Azza wa Jal sends salams to directly through the angel Jibreel. When the Prophet ﷺ says to her that you are the first that I am calling to this deen, she replies and says that I am also the first to accept it. What a station, what a rank given to this woman, Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. In a place where she is so many of the firsts in our tradition. What is it that we know of her and how do we connect to her? This woman who even after her passing, the Prophet ﷺ is stricken. She stands with him through so much after that prophethood. She is a woman who was from amongst the wealthy. She sustains boycotts at the hands of the mushrikeen of Mecca, not uttering ever any kind of complaint, not bringing any kind of frustration or agitation, but always there with this man. And the impact that she has on his life is further amplified for us in her death. That when she passes away, the Prophet ﷺ is stricken with such a grief that the historians of the seerah literature, that literature that teaches us of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, call that year in which she passes away the year of grief, the year of sadness, the year of depression. Within it, the Prophet loses his wife Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha and his uncle Abu Talib. But undoubtedly, he doesn't forget her ever. He maintains a loyalty to her well beyond her passing, consistently giving of himself and his time and his wealth and his resources, gifts to her family and her friends. Gifts to those who we have a narration where the Prophet ﷺ, as people are coming into the deen, they are bringing things, and from amongst them, some of the things that he is given, he sends to the friends of Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, the close friends of hers who were with her when she was alive, and he gives it to her with an understanding that I am giving this to you because you are someone who was loved by the woman that I love. That you had a close relationship with her, and I want to appreciate that. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha says to the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, aren't you glad that you were given something younger and better in replace of something that was older? And the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam says that I was not given anything better. That this woman stood with me when no one else stood with me. She believed in me when no one else believed in me. She gave to me of that which was hers when others deprived me. I was not given anything better than she. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she says that after that interaction, whenever the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam would mention Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, she would not say anything about her. That he says of her, that the love that I had for her, this was a love that was nurtured and cultivated by Allah Azza wa Jal Himself. How can we not know of this woman who is so important to a man that is supposed to be so important to us? How can we not understand of her life? How can we not know of her lineage? How can we not know her story? And then like her, there are so many others who lived and spoke and interacted with the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam in his life that we know nothing of. And us not knowing anything about them keeps us from reaching our potential of knowing everything we possibly can of that man sallallahu alayhi wasallam. What do you know about Muhammad, the last messenger of God? What do you know about him? Fully understanding that you are entitled to know everything. You, like anyone else, is given a direct access point to building a relationship with the best of creation. He is your prophet just like he is the prophet of the person sitting next to you. He is your messenger just like he is meant to be the messenger for people for the rest of time. He is the individual who stood in the late hours of the night with his blessed feet swelling and the tears dropping from his face, asking of Allah Azza wa Jal for the likes of you and I. He is an individual who, once that initial revelation hits his life, for 23 years he does not stop going and going and going. What do you know of him? And how much more could you know if you knew of the people who were around him? Find some time in the course of your week, in the course of your day, to sit and read about the life of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. That there is a value in us studying the hadith. But there is also a value in us studying the literature that is known as the seerah literature. That gives us an overarching picture of how the Prophet ﷺ's life actually was. That our teachers, what they tell us is that the individual narrations of the hadith, they are like the pieces of a puzzle. And when you put all of those pieces of the puzzle together, it creates an ever-arching holistic image of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, which is the seerah. And it gives us the means by which we can be better connected to him by those who are closer to him as well. What do you know of this man? And what do you know of those who are beloved to him? Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, found in a hadith that likens and gives her the company of the likes of Maryam, the mother of Isa alayhi salam, Asiya, the wife of Pharaoh, Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad. A most unique company she keeps. How can we not strive to know and understand about her life? It is something that we should think about while we have the time to do so. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and protect us. May He bless us with knowledge that benefits us. May He bless that knowledge into our daily lives. And may He guide and bless us all. Wallahu ta'ala alam wa billahi tawfiq. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.